for Cigar City. A friend of mine saw that I had posted that review just beforehand. He was like, oh man, I saw you just posted that review. I never stay behind a truck loading anything like that. It's like anything long, even if it's rebar, because they think of that scene. That has resulted, no joke, in people actually being more cautious drivers. The other two movies didn't do that. And I am extra paranoid now about water or soda bottles in my car because of when that mom went to slam on the brake and the water bottle was under it. And then man. And I swear, because I used to, when I was in college, I didn't think twice about that. I just had it rolling around on the bottom. Nothing ever happened. Clearly, I'm still here. But that is like a holy shit moment. When I see that, like, I like lock up when she's trying to jam on the gas or on the brake and something is blocking it. Like, oh yeah. You listen to me getting worked up. I'm getting worked up.
This is fun. This is fun. Well, you're sweating. Like, you're getting very animated. This is fun.
If someone has not seen Final Destination 2 and you're just listening to us because you happen to like us, like, by all means, guys, go watch Final Destination 2. Like, needs to be seen.
Once everything kicks off, I absolutely love it. It was just weird, the build-up. So you have a group of people smoking weed. Then you have another guy doing lines of bumps of cocaine. Then you have another dude drinking beer. And then you have that other lady with her cigarillo. And then you have a cop with a full coffee cup without a lid. I was like, what is happening here? What's on this highway?
And don't get me wrong, like, everything that they did was well done, given the annoyingly tropey things that you're saying. It's almost like the beginning of the Friday the 13th remake.
Yeah, just everything they're doing is purposely tropey, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. It's like, but they're executing it well. It's annoyingly tropey, but entertainingly executed. But again, these people are all going to die.
I want everyone here, though, there's a 5-pack of Final Destination you can buy for $10. It's just the DVD pack or the Blu-ray. But on the extras of this, it shows how cars flip. They put this awesome, spring on the bottom of it that just slams down and flips the car. But they show that scene in there. But also, 4 cars explode in here. Like, a car hits a log truck and explodes. And then her car gets hit and explodes. And this happens in that world. So why are these vehicles so flammable, John?
Because that's more entertaining.
Do you think in this world, like, just the gasoline is more... Do you think they built cars with flammable parts?
They're using nitroglycerin.
For
gasoline.
Yeah, nitroglycerin paint. Glycerin paint. But they kept blowing up. But I'll tell you, though, I think of all the visuals, those logs dropping down, oh my gosh.
And I love it wasn't super slow-mo, but it was just slow enough, right? Like, call it like 1/3 pace.
Yeah.
That it looked, I thought it was fantastic. And with the sound editing that was done, or sound mixing, I don't know which term to use for the sound effect of it. Like, I felt that thump. It makes me think of when Godzilla first steps out, in a well-done Godzilla movie. You almost felt it. This death scene rattled me in the same way that Mrs. Luton's death scene did in part 1, like, in terms of, like, how elaborate it was, because that was the most elaborate one from part 1, and it was the most effective one in part 1, in my opinion. Like, this is the Mrs. Luton death scene, but the Mrs. Luton death scene gets kind of harkened back a few times in this movie.
Now, so, we move on. The main character, AJ Cook, she has her premonition and she lives. So it leaves several people alive, right? Kimberly is alive, Thomas the cop, Kat the businesswoman, Evan the lotto winner, Rory the stoner, and then you have... And then
Tim and his mom, Tim and his mother.
Eugene the teacher. Oh, yeah, and then Nora the mom, and then Isabella. So you have a decent amount of people that got to get killed in this movie. And they do a fine job with the murders. I think the biggest laugh I've had in the first 3 Final Destinations so far is when Evan, the first guy to really get the first death via death, right? When he slips on the spaghetti. So he escapes.
Oh my God.
So he sticks his finger, he has that horseshoe ring, it's upside down, and, it's bad luck. He gets it stuck in there, but he's getting calls from all these ladies like, hey, call me back, you won the lotto. And then, so he has all this gear. But when he goes down the fire escape and slips on the spaghetti, like, that made me laugh really hard, because someone wrote, obviously every script is written, of course, but someone just went, you know what, he should throw spaghetti out of his window, then climb down the ladder, the fire escape, and then slip on that, and then the fire escape ladder caves his skull. Like, that's funny to me.
I think that he was being punished by death in this death scene for having bad food taste.
Yeah.
Because So he had spaghetti in a pan that was sitting out. Okay. No one who makes good food treats good leftovers like that. So he just made some cheap Chef Boyardee can, I'm guessing. And the reason I feel comfortable in estimating him as a Chef Boyardee can guy is because when he emptied it out, he then dumped frozen fish sticks into that pan. And in his fridge, he had leftover Chinese food. Like, this guy does not eat healthily, and Death is like, look, I was going to get you to heart disease anyway, but let's just take care of this now.
He slips on it. I love that idea, right? Just then he falls on the spaghetti.
This is another Mrs. Luton thing too, though. So because when he has his wrist stuck in the garbage disposal because of that big chunky watch that he got, his microwave is threatening to explode at him. And all I immediately thought was, oh my God, Mrs. Luton's computer. Like, I feel like some of these, in the flare from the canola oil or whatever he was using, that was kind of like a red herring on the stove, and Mrs. Luton. So again, and this is not a bad negative copy criticism. It's just like they were taking subtle components that worked really well before and reapplying them in a way that seemed very dissimilar.
Well, if you look at
it took many viewings to catch this.
And I think you're absolutely right. And if you look at some of the biggest movies recently, Jurassic World, Star Wars, Force Awakens, the latest Halloween, there's many of the same tropes, or not tropes, story beats from the previous films of theirs, but they were wildly successful. It's just, I think sometimes audiences need that familiarity. Similar scenes. Similarities. They need to be familiar with it.
Another really cool thing about this death scene, and it was similarly well done in Mrs. Luton's death scene, was the use of music. In both cases, they picked music that would be considered popular or well-liked or something, but they created kind of an odd tone in their respective scenes. Like, especially in this one, it made me a little edgy. In the first one, it made me a little somber, and that made me nervous for Mrs. Luton. And so the use of music in some of these death scenes is really effective.
All right, so he gets wiped out. Then what do you think about the return of Clear, Ali Larter from the first film? Did you like her return? Did you think that was a good idea?
I did. Every time I watch this movie, it feels more and more like a gag and a little less organic. But of course, every time I watch it, I'm catching finer and finer layers of, the filmmaking, right? I think that just as a storytelling device, they played this turned out a lot better than it would have in most movies.
And you know what I think it helped is, this is a part of why I don't like 3 as much, but in this one, Clear just explains it to them. And it's better than just, I don't want to watch 5 movies in a row where they're all figuring out the same thing over and over and over again. So you get Clear in here, she can knock that exposition in a minute.
And it really happened to her, which makes it feel less like an exposition dump, right? Like, she's warning them what to look for because of what happened to her. Whereas in part 3, dude does a 2006 Google search and all of a sudden he knows as much as Clear.
Yeah. and then they're learning the same things and you're like, ugh. This is another thing. I liked Kimberly in this a lot, AJ Cook. I thought she was fine, but I felt when Clear was on screen, Ali Larter has just maybe been an actor for longer. But she definitely dominated the scenes. I'm not saying overacting, but she is the stronger presence on screen than AJ Cook.
I can't help but to think that she's just more comfortable with the gravity of the role.
Yeah.
And AJ Cook did well.
Yeah.
She did well. But I mean, Larter nailed it. But Larter now had Final Destination, which was very straight-faced delivery, right? And pretty heavy in content, especially for its target audience. And she had Varsity Blues.
Yeah.
Like, she had, which was really heavy in my opinion. That was from the late 90s. So she already had 2 pretty heavy roles.
Yeah, I got it. But I thought this AJ Cook, I liked her a lot in this, though. I thought she had just like a nice, like, you wanted her to succeed. And then I thought the cop too, Thomas, the cop. I don't think anything they did was particularly flashy, and they didn't need to be. But I liked them both. I'm, like, when you watch them, I like these two. Like, I don't want them dying. They're nice.
They made a lot of the characters of our survivors either likable from the start, like them, or at least gradually more likable. Like, they in fact did make that Rory. He actually became more and more likable. It started out just with good written humor, and then it actually started to reach actual shared concern. Like, he developed with the movie, and then he actually had some heartfelt bits, like when he thought that he was going to die. I even though I laugh because it's hilarious to me, I really get a little tingle heartstring when he was looking at Kim and saying, hey, here are my keys. If I'm next, could you go to my house and, like, find all my drugs and paraphernalia and throw it away, and also my porn and clean my computer. And she looks at him funny, and he's like, I just don't want my mom to find anything that's going to break her heart. And it's like, holy shit, like, that really got me. And even if everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people might have some degree of some of this stuff, we all think about, like, gosh, if my mom found that, if I tragically died, it's like, that's going to affect her. Like, that was sweet. And the way that they did that was really great on screen. And it still also was really funny.
The writer Eric Bress, he also worked on he did script rewrites for Cellular for the director of this, so the director must have liked him. But they love that character of Rory, so they gave him extra stuff to do. And you can tell that during that shot, there's no over the shoulders. As you can tell, it's just the two of them looking towards the camera, just a stock 2 shot. Mm-hmm. And so they just kind of hit that up on the fly, because that wasn't a planned super shot. I think they just came up with a funny idea and they shot it real quick, because there's not much coverage. There's no coverage on it. But, that's, I don't know. I like that they added that in there. And he also saved that kid's life, which led to the really great gag at the end with the kid blowing up. Now, people don't like this kill. I've read a BuzzFeed list ranking all the kills, and they put the end explosion towards the bottom 5. But I think it's funny.
So I'm going to call it the reverse of the humor of Rory's porn and drugs. Like, I laughed when that happened, but it is the only kill in the whole movie that feels kind of crass, because a severed limb then lands right on the table. Like, it felt like that was from a different movie to me. But I mean, I laughed. It's entertaining to me. It's that big unsubtle wink of, hey guys, see you in the sequel again.
So it was probably from the first 5 minutes of this movie. So they bookend each other nicely.
Yeah, sure. There we can go with that. But that was kind of goofy, and it was because it was super happy-go-lucky, and all these people are together who would probably never be having a barbecue together, and then that hand lands, and it's like, boom, sequel music. And but I laugh every time I see it. It's
I guess I like the surprise of it. Maybe if they just cut after, like. Yeah, you're right. If they just cut at the explosion with her yelling, that'd be funny. Not seeing the arm. I like it. That's good. I think that works. And then also, before I get going, it's pretty cool. They shot the beginning scene in 11 days, and they had 4.5 miles of highway to shoot it on. So they were just flipping cars for 11 days. That'd be fun to be on, wouldn't it?
11 days for that. That's got to be a lot of work. I don't know anything about on the set filmmaking, but that strikes me as something that wasn't fun.
No. You say fun, but it's just one shot every 4 hours. And then you got to clean up. Every time you flip a car, you got to clean up all the glass. It's a pain in the butt. Now, so the kid Tim, I think he's next who gets smushed. And that dentist scene is weird, dude. When he's like, if you walk in and like my pants are undone, like we're not paying. Like,
he's a teenager. I love that. I actually really like that. And it made the mom laugh, which was kind of cute.
I was like, who is it? So they wanted this kid. This is the same as a Sean William Scott from the first one, where they just didn't rewrite his character because they didn't want to be tropey with the large nerdy kid that movies in the 80s and probably 90s embraced. So this one, the kid was 9, then he went to 13 and 15. So that scene when his mom's like tucking him into bed at night, I don't think they rewrote the script for the age change for the kid.
Right. Yeah.
So they've done that 2 movies in a row where they just bring in someone new and then they don't rewrite for it.
I do like that scene though. It's a fun one because you just imagine, you're getting drilled. Literally, he's going to do a filling. So he's drilling into a cavity, the dentist, as birds are striking his huge window on like their 5th floor there because they're Bayside or something. And like every time that happens, like my shoulders kind of shudder up. And I get a little nervous, even though I know what is or isn't going to happen. And gosh, and then at the end he scares some birds, and then the guy with the crane screws up, and he drops that huge like panel of glass, which totally squishes that kid. Oh, it's delicious.
I love great squishes in film.
That's a